What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Full Throttle Auto, and once again we are back working on the Honda Accord. It is a 9th gen Honda Accord, just in case you weren't sure. And in today's video, as the title says, I am putting fog lights in it. All right, as always, let's talk about some of the things you're going to do, use, and all that. First of all, the fog lights. The fog lights I picked up from eBay. They are literally the Honda style fog lights. You get the fog light with the bracketing set, and you also get the trim pieces. This on eBay was $47. Now, I am switching the regular bulbs that comes with these. These do come with bulbs. They're H8 bulbs. But they're, you know, they're your regular, well, how do you say the word? Halogen, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. They're your regular standard bulbs. I don't like that, so I am going with LED bulbs. I have one already placed in there just to make sure it will fit, and it does. So I am going, the same bulbs that I'm using in my main headlights are also going into my fog lights, which is the last fit H8 bulb. I picked this up off of Amazon. It's not bad. These have almost lasted me 2 years. I've had no issues, not at all. If you don't mind the little fan that's on the back that makes a little bit of noise, which I don't care, this is gonna be great. And you do get also the wiring harness with this kit. It is a full wiring harness, and I'll try to go into detail on what can be done. However, I am learning as we go, so this is going to be a learning process for both of us. And of course, anytime I work on my car, I have a standard toolkit you can pick up from Craftsman. This one's a little bigger than my standard one that I use. I have a little smaller chest piece thing, all-in-one thing that comes with, but basically just to have your sockets and you know, your screwdriver and stuff like that, which we'll probably need because we are most likely going to have to take off the bumper. Since I know there's plastic underneath, and we're gonna have to, so we're gonna have to take off the bumper. This isn't gonna be just as easy as like take off that trim and then pop the new headlight, and plus we got to be back there to route the wiring. So without further ado, let's get to taking off the bumper. First thing I did is remove the plastic clips that are underneath the hood at the top of the bumper. Then I went on each side of the car and removed 2 screws that were holding the bumper to the wheel well of the car. Once that was done, I went to the underneath the car and removed a lot of plastic clips from there. Once all the clips were removed, then I used a plastic trim removal tool to help unclip the bumper from each side of the fenders and underneath the headlights to not destroy the clips it's connected to. I wish I could tell you this went easily, but I took off clips that I didn't need to take, and there was a lot more that needed to be taken off than I anticipated. However, the closer clips, don't take those off. Those are irrelevant. You want to take off the ones that are further under the lip. I know I'm not really showing that the best of my capabilities, but it's going to be, so there's going to be 3 sets. There's going to be ones all the way in the front, middle, and in the back. You just want to remove the ones in the back. Because for some reason, even though if you remove these clips, you cannot easily get this off. So to just save yourself a headache, don't remove the first 2, just remove the last ones and the ones that are attached on each end of the bumper. All right, now that we're done, before I do any kind of wiring over here, I'm gonna go ahead and remove these old covers that are here, and then we're gonna go ahead and put in the fog lights first. To remove the plastic cover that's on the actual bumper, you're going to want to gently remove this by pressing down on the tabs to help remove it from the bumper itself and open up that hole where the fog lights are going to sit. Once that is done, I then mated up the fog light to the bumper with the trim plastic piece that comes with it,
to help screw it down to the bumper. I noticed that having the bumper facing downwards helps doing this instead of actually horizontal.
You want to fit them to the bumper holes here. There's one hole that comes with the plastic cover, so you do want to put on the plastic cover first and then fit these. And as you can see, there's these pins that aligns that hole with that one, and this one here is semi-okay. It looks like it's gonna fit pretty good. I mean, granted, this was off of eBay, although it looked like all the other ones you can buy from anywhere, and it does belong to this car. So the only thing I'm noticing right now is that I don't have any of these screws, and I don't think they came with the kit. And that's kind of a, let's see, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I am wrong. I lied, guys. Don't listen to me. I'm wrong. They actually provided quite a few things on top of the wiring harness and the fog lights. We got zip ties, obviously, to when we're routing the wire. I can speak. And then, of course, the nuts, which is good. These red things are for the power clips. I'm going to talk about that once we get to the wiring portion. But let's go ahead and now screw these in.
Once I finished screwing the fog lights to the bumper, I then proceeded to route the wiring throughout the car. For the passenger side fog light, I made sure that I routed the wiring behind the driver's side headlight and then across the front of the car. Then the wiring that actually goes into the cabin can't go through the firewall, so instead I had to run it through the driver's side fender. Fair warning, this was not fun.
How was that? Hey, thanks for joining me, by the way. Thanks for collab, T3G and Full Throttle. So here's what happened. All right, so I didn't want to take off the screw from the pinch well to take off the fender fully. So I got it most of the way loosened, and then he was helping me out. So what we ended up doing is we cut a little notch in this plastic so we can run the wire there, so this can stay on there without any worries of debris or water or anything kind of stuff going in there. So that's pretty much on there. We ran it as tightly as we can to give ourselves enough wiring, but this is essentially how I found. There's no instruction, so I have no proper way of telling you guys if this is how they wanted you to do it. But as I mentioned earlier, there's no way of doing it through the actual firewall. So this is the best way I could find it to get to the switch where it needs to go. That's it. I'm gonna go ahead and now tidy it all up. Oh, and to get the fender off, you do have to remove the headlight. Before we tidy up, we obviously gonna have to test everything and still finish up all the wiring. Now, you might be asking yourself, how do you get this switch in to this console? Is there screws or anything? Actually, it's a lot easier than it looks. Let me make sure there's proper lighting for you guys here. So all you have to do is right here, there's a lip. You can kind of pull on this and you just go like that. And then we go here in the back here. There are clips for these blank ones that are in here. You just press down on the clips and that's it. And then all you have to do is put this in. Now, what do you think? Is that down or is that up?
Now that the wiring was actually in the cabin, I went and go ahead and spliced in a fuse tap to the actual wiring. So instead of splicing into a power wire, we're gonna go ahead and use a fuse. In this case, I used the windshield wiper fuse. Now remember, with the fuse tab, you are gonna need 2 fuses, one for the accessory that you are powering, in this case, the fog lights, and of course, since I chose the wipers, one for the wipers. Now there were 2 other wires underneath the hood. Those wires I connected directly to the positive terminal of the battery and to the negative terminal of the battery. Once that was done, I tested out the fog lights to make sure they work, and then I put everything back together. Now that everything's back on, let's check out what the fog lights look like. this is right now, we're looking at a wall here. Can't really tell you how far that wall is, maybe 30 feet or something like that, if even. We're in a parking structure, so as you can see, it's lit. This is my daylight runners. Then we have the regular, and here's with the fog lights. Fog lights off, fog lights on, off, on. So fairly significant. And that's it for this video. Now I know, I think I forgot to mention there in the beginning that these aren't actually Honda fog lights from Honda themselves. So the wiring is not actually going to be what it would be from Honda. Honda has going to have a, can't talk. That's not even English, I think that came out. Honda's going to have a completely different wiring setup than what I just did in this video. So for that particular one, that's just something else that if you're looking for, you're going to have to find it in a different video. Overall, I'm going to say this wasn't really that hard of a job. It was more tedious and annoying. That's really the biggest one. One, realizing that you can't go anywhere through the firewall really, at least not for easy access. And two, having to unscrew the fender and the headlight to get enough access to run that wire for the inside. Ironically enough, I did contact the seller. I did buy these on eBay, if I didn't mention, and I'll link that in the description. However, I did contact the seller while I was working on this. I got done with the project, and then I received their email saying there's no real instructions, but most of the time you should be going through the firewall. And I was like, that's great. This one's not, because there wouldn't have been, even if I did find some way to go through the firewall, there wasn't enough wire to do that. And then after I got the second email, in the instructions they found from the people who actually make the fog lights, shows that I actually did it right. You are supposed to go through the fender and through that little plastic that I went through, that little rubber piece. Overall, for the money, great price. I think it's way cheaper than what Honda would charge you for the fog lights and the wiring. LEDs themselves I did purchase separately off of Amazon, and all those descriptions are of course going to be in the description. All those, what did I say? All those links will be in the description if that's not what I said. Once again, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed it, go ahead and hit that thumbs up. If not, hit the dislike. Let me know why in the comments, and subscribe for future videos.